Okay, it's been a little while coming, but finally, here's the part 5 of the chainsaw rebuild series, the final part. My regular viewers will know that I've torn down a Husqvarna 240X Torque and I've done a total engine rebuild with budget parts bought from Amazon to see if I can get this machine to run well. And you're going to see now in the final part that I have had some issues here. So let's go through what they were and how we dealt with them. But of course, the question on our minds is, could I really get it to run well? Welcome to the Repair Specialist channel, because knowledge is power. So let's get to it. Right, so we are going to go and test this machine. But before I do, what I really want to do is test those Amazon components in there. I want to see if it's got good compression. So I'm going to perform a compression test. So let's take a look. Take out the spark plug and we'll choose our insert. I think it's this one. Yep. Give them a good tighten, make sure the sealing, that's on well. Okay, I've pulled that a few times. We've got around about 115 psi. Not brilliant, but it's not bad considering that these are non-genuine parts. I didn't think it'd have that much, so let's go ahead and see how it runs. See if it'll prime. Yeah, primer bulb's filling up. It says to prime 6 times, but because this was all empty, I'm going to give it a few more. Okay, that should be the carb primed. Okay, so after everything I'd done to this saw, I really thought it would start brilliantly. But as you can see, no matter how much I pulled it, whether I put the choke on, whether I took it off, it would not start. At this point I was thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done wrong? Have I put something in incorrectly? Have I missed something? I've started saws with this amount of compression before, so I didn't think that was the problem. And I was sure it wasn't the actual engine itself. At least I hoped it wasn't. So I started to cast my mind back at anything I'd seen that I wasn't too happy with that could possibly cause this. Was it the metering diaphragm, which of course wasn't perfect and I was going to change later? But I would have thought that the engine would have at least fired even if this wasn't perfect. So with there obviously being no attempt to fire, there's obviously no combustion going on whatsoever in the cylinder. So that means it's either not receiving enough fuel up there into the cylinder, or there's no spark to ignite it. But I knew there was a spark because I did quickly test that when I put in the new plug. So when I'd reassured myself there, something else quickly flashed into my mind. When I was just priming it initially, I wasn't totally happy about the way it was priming. The bulb didn't really fill up much. There was a lot of air in there, and it took a long time to get the fuel up to the primer bulb. And there was just that feel to it that wasn't right. You can see here. So I decided to have a closer look at this whole priming system. What I found is when I press this primer bulb, you can see it's not really filling up properly. And when I look down there at the pipes at the back, you can see flows going out and flows coming in the same pipe. That shouldn't be happening. It should be a valving system here, allowing the influx there and then the outflux down this top pipe back to the tank, and it's not doing that. So this is a non-genuine primer bulb that I bought. It was separate to the kit. I did buy this from Amazon, but it's obviously faulty, so I'm going to have to rectify that before I can go any further and try and start it. Right, so the new primer bulb's been delivered. Let's remove the old one and we'll take a closer look at what's happening. If we take a look at this fuel line here, when I press the primer bulb, fuel should come up here and down there, but it's pushing it back down that way, you see? So let's try the new bulb. Still a non-genuine one from the same seller. Let's see if this pumps any better. We'll try it before we place the bulb in situ. Right, here we go. Oh wow, yes, fantastically. See how it's coming up here when I raise? And when I press it, it's leaving through that one, just the way it should be. So at this point, I'm now happy at the way it's pumping, but there is still quite a bit of air in there coming up from the carb. But in any case, now I've put the new primer bulb on, I wanted to have a look to see if I could get the engine running. Click it in, there we go. Let's see if that's any better. Wow, now looking promising. Eureka! Now we've got it. Or at least I thought. After that brief moment of joy, I could not even get it to fire again. So back to the bench it is, and I'm having an even closer look at this fueling system. Obviously, by seeing all this air, I suspect some's been drawn in somewhere. So let's take a closer look. Everything looks okay at the back here. So let's just take that off. Here, everything seems to be on okay at the back. The interesting thing is we can see air is being drawn up here from the inlet side of the pipe, as we would expect, because it's filling the primer bulb with air. You can see that clearly. Looking at the pipes, I would suspect somewhere there might be some break in this pipe. It's drawing in air from somewhere. So let's take a look at the tank. Okay. And the fuel filter is no longer on. And I can see there's a split, so it's obviously dropped off. That split's made it drop off. It seems as if this line is quite weak. I can feel it there when I squish it with the pliers. So what I'm inclined to do, obviously I'll fish out the filter, but I'm inclined to change the fuel lines, just to eradicate any little tiny holes in them. Being more thorough here is something I should have definitely done before I put the carburetor back on. So we'll do that in a minute, but what I want to do is just to make sure that the fuel lines are all connected properly onto the carb where they should be, just in case it's drawing in air from those points. The thing with this saw though is it's not a small job just to take the carb off. We have to separate the handle from the main body, but it's going to be a job well done. At least, if nothing else, it's going to stop me wondering if it is the pipe. But because we have actually seen the pipe there with a tear in it, it does suggest it's weak anyway, so it does need doing to have the job done properly. Let's pull it out a little further. Right, well, I'm replacing the pipes anyway, so that's a definite fact. But I just wanted to see if I could identify anything that was the cause. So I'm having a look here where the pipe fits onto the carb and seeing if there's any splits there. Can't really see any from here, but there is fuel I can see down there, like a pool of fuel, as if fuel has come out. If it's drawing in air somewhere because of a crack, let's say, then it's going to be losing fuel at the same time. So we are replacing this, so let's do that. I'm going to take off the carb so I can see exactly what I'm doing, and we need to do that anyway. So this is the one here that comes up from the fuel tank and is split this end. So there's no reason to disbelieve that it could be split somewhere else in that line. So I do have my new pipe at the ready. So we'll take this one out. Ah, you see that? I only pulled it slightly and it broke. So it looks to me, if we look at that end there, it's very frayed and it looks like it's been so for a long time. So I think it was drawing in air there. Just at that point there, as it goes into the tank, fuel line still attached from the bottom, but it would be frayed enough to let in air above the fuel, and then air was coming up into the bulb. So I think if we just replace this pipe, that might suffice. We'll see. I've just got to fish the broken pipe out of the fuel tank. Got it. Obviously over time fuel has degraded this. This must have been on for years. So this is the point where it must have been connected, but damaged enough to drawing air before it finally snapped when I pulled it. Let's match up the length then. So we're around about there. I think that'll suffice. Right, okay, so there's the fuel line put through, and now we'll put on the filter. Okay, so that's in. We'll place that in there. Right, so I'll go ahead and build this up. The next issue I had then was the spark plug. So with the kit came one of these non-genuine spark plugs, which I fitted, but even though I tested it for a spark before I did so, I could not get the engine to fire and run properly. So in the end I just decided to fit a genuine plug to see if this would make any difference. This is starting to seem different straight away. Yes, it all seems much different now. I've got the splined carb adjuster here, the special tool for this particular type of saw. I've just richened up the low screw here a little because it was a little slow on throttling. Here you can see I'm taking the idling screw back anti-clockwise until the chain stops spinning. I'm actually quite happy about the way it runs. It's not perfect by any means, and it's certainly not as good as it would have been when this Husqvarna chainsaw was new. But now we've got an aftermarket engine on it, so we're not talking about genuine products anymore. But I am happy now that I've got a good saw here for occasional use. I will be using a little more oil in this, perhaps a little stronger mix in the future to make sure that those softer metal components of them non-genuine parts last as long as I possibly can get them to do so. I only had to richen the high screw very slightly, by the way. Okay, so thank you for watching that video, and don't miss the next one where I'm going to compare two of these types of carburetor. One being the genuine versus the aftermarket equivalent. I'm going to strip them both down, I'm going to look inside them, I'm going to really assess the parts and take a look at the build quality and give a comprehensive comparison of the two. Don't miss it. The link for that will be up here. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll be back soon.